Isagi Yoichi wasn't the fastest, nor the strongest, but still he was the one who got the farthest. And it wasn't luck, nor instinct. It was because he discovered something others didn't. A new weapon, a different way to play. One that not only helped him win matches, but also let him see into the minds of every rival. A skill that, if you understand it, you can apply it in your life, your relationships, even your decisions. But before we get to how Isagi came to dominate the game without dominating the ball, leave a like if you enjoy this kind of content and subscribe if you want more analysis like this. Now then, let's go back to the exact moment when everything began to change for him. We're now in the match between Bastard and Manshine City, one of the most intense in the Neo Egoist League. Yukimiya, one of the Bullock's best dribblers, is playing under invisible pressure. It was revealed he has an eye disease that could end his career. In his mind, this could be his last match. So the only thought running through his head is, if I don't shine, I'll cease to exist. Isagi at that point wanted everyone to play for him. He felt his way to win was to centralize the game, but Yukimiya confronted him, saying that this is his story and that Isagi is just getting in the way. And then, in that precise moment, something changes. Isagi realizes Yukimiya isn't being selfish out of arrogance. He's acting how anyone cornered would, as the protagonist of his own story. That moment opens a new level of awareness in Isagi. If everyone plays as if they're the center, then their decisions aren't random, they're predictable. And if he can understand what story each person wants to live, he can anticipate their movements. And it wasn't just Yukimiya. A bit earlier, Nagi had scored an almost impossible goal, and confidently said, "I feel like the protagonist of this planet." With this in mind, Isagi connects the dots, realizing that everyone feels this game revolves around them. And if that's true, then it can also be used. This new discovery gave Isagi the ability to use others' desires in his favor, Yukimiya's, Manshine's, and even Bastard's players, to achieve his goal, lead his team to victory, and defeat his most important rival, Kaiser. As David Foster Wallace once said, "The world doesn't revolve around you, but thinking it does is the automatic state of human consciousness." Yukimiya wasn't just trying to score, he was trying not to disappear, to leave something behind. And that made him predictable, because when someone acts from the fear of being left behind, they always leave a pattern. Isagi saw the pattern, and he used it to win. But this was just the beginning. Now we move to the match between Bastard and Ewers, and here appears Hiyori. Hiyori is one of the most technical and calm players in the Blue Lock project. A cerebral one, a thinker, the perfect partner for Isagi. So even without the best physical skills, Hiyori was chosen, because with Isagi's trust, they had a greater chance to win. Together, they could read the field as if they were one, until Hiyori changed, until his ego awakened. He chose not to pass the ball to Isagi. He chose to score on his own. He chose to be the protagonist of his play. And that's when Isagi applies what he learned from the Yukimiya's case. He doesn't get angry, he doesn't get frustrated. He simply understands Hiyori and the field in full. Hiyori wanted to shine on his own, to be the protagonist, because this might be his chance to escape a life where he never made decisions for himself. But Isagi didn't see Hiyori's actions as a problem. He saw an opportunity. He used Hiyori's desire to form a perfect chemical connection, and with that, scored the decisive goal against Ubers. In return, giving Hiyori's play a new meaning. Because if you know where someone's will escapes, you also know how to catch it and use it. As philosopher Aldous Huxley said, most people are so busy acting out the role that they forget there are others with their own scripts. But Hiyori did the opposite. For an instant, he stepped out of the script others wrote for him. He chose to decide for himself, and that choice, even if it broke Isagi's plan, also gave him an opportunity. Now we arrive at the final match, Bastard versus PXG. The most technical, the most emotional. Now Isagi is not trying to be the hero anymore. Now he's something else, like a silent orchestra conductor. He watches Rin obsessed with the impossible goal, Ness broken by his relationship with Kaiser, Loki and Noel Noah looking for a rival that can push them forward. And above all, Kaiser breaking and rebuilding himself over and over again. From this, Isagi concludes, if he wants to win, he must use others' desires and egos in his favor, leaving behind emotions like pride and hatred, so he can make rational decisions that lead to victory. This led him to work with his biggest enemy and use every card, his own and his rivals, in his favor. He reached a level of foresight no one else in Blue Lock could. He used the conflict between Ness and Kaiser as the path to his win, because Isagi was the only one who didn't take Ness off his radar. He was the only one who saw hope in Ness' evolution. As Daniel Kahneman wrote in Thinking Fast and Slow, rationality begins when we stop seeing the world as a threat to the ego and start seeing it as a system of decisions. Isagi no longer played from pride, nor from hatred. He played with clarity, because he understood that emotions that don't add subtract. And that's why he saw what no one else could. Thanks to this belief, Isagi understood that everyone was the protagonist of their own story and left behind the emotions that limited him. He was able to surpass expectations, see beyond the others, and become the Demon King of Blue Lock. Now you know, Isagi didn't win through talent, nor by luck. He won because he understood that everyone on the field thought they were the protagonist, and that if you could read their story, you could write the ending. And you can do that too. See others not as enemies. See them as a people also fighting to be seen, to be heard, to be valued. Each one has their own narrative, and if you understand it, you can move with advantage. Isagi did it. He wasn't the protagonist in everyone's story, but he was the one who read every story. And because of that, he was able to write his own story. Because the one who understands another's ego writes everyone's destiny. Well, if you made it this far, thank you, seriously. What do you think Isagi won the Neo Egoist League? Do you agree it was by understanding this concept? Or do you think there's another reason? Let me know in the comments. And with nothing more to add, I hope the next video is your idea. See you the next time.